Hey, Karima, thank you so much for coming on here to share your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So, I know that before we ever talked, you had been dreaming about starting a business. So, what was stopping you and what did that feel like?
Oh my gosh, so many things. And I definitely think the number one thing was making it real. So, kind of just like taking any sort of step to invest in myself, which is so funny that I thought others would be willing to like pay me and believe my business before I believed in it. But definitely just the financial part and just the fear. And of course, what everyone else thinks of just feeling like they're this imposter and doing something that, they're not qualified to do. And so those were the huge things that like I thought about every day, even when starting.
So, just to set the stage, like, what did your life look like then? You were working a full-time job.
Yes. So I was living in Kentucky, working a full time job as a marketing director for a couple of healthcare companies. Um, Really just kind of like struggling already with like money and debt and worrying about an upcoming move in a few months and definitely like working in an office and everything like that. So things were very stressful financially and just, I mean, in every aspect, like moving and all of that's never easy. But things, I mean, it's just a couple months later and everything's already so different. So, I mean, now, we agreed to have my job let me telecommute. And so I'm able to do that. And I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. Um, I've gotten clients, so things are like paying themselves off. So definitely a different place, which is so crazy to look back on. So
In such a short time, too.
in such a short time, in just a couple months, everything has changed. So
And so I know you had looked around at different business courses and you've never actually hit buy on any of that, right? So what do you think, what was going on for you?
So it was another thing of kind of one accountability because I knew that, so many books I read and things like that always said so many people bought courses and they just kind of like, had them sitting in their inboxes. And I knew that would be me. Like when I read those sentences in books before even trying a course, I knew I'd be that person because I get so distracted and I'm the queen of excuses. And especially when it comes to spending that money because I'm always like, okay, that money could have been my rent or that money could have been, things that I need for my house or myself or, bills. And it's so hard for me to justify those expenses, especially when it's just kind of like a course. And I do so well with like one-on-one, like phone calls and like things like that. I don't do well in groups when it's like online taught. So kind of that and just the financial aspect, of course, that was what was stressing me out the most. So
And I know, I mean, you weren't actually getting tons of encouragement from the people around you, right? So you really had to step up and be your own best advocate to make that
Mhm.
decision.
Yes. I mean, everyone around me, one, had no idea what I was doing. They knew I could like design some websites and things, but they didn't know like what branding was. They definitely didn't think that anyone would like pay me to do it for others. And it was always just something that I like kind of had that like ticking in the back of my head daily when I was working, like you need to do something, you need to take some sort of step. I was just so unclear on what that step was. And I got so frustrated. And on Facebook and reading blogs, like people always said, like, find a good mentor, find a coach. I'm like, where am I supposed to find that person? Like, who is that person? Is it supposed to be somebody I know? And yeah, I was definitely just, I come from a family who all are very like corporate and work their jobs, 8 to 5 very happily. And so the fact that I'm, like young and want to take this leap to start my own business with like design and it just this whole world they don't understand. Of course, they're like super protective, like, keep your job, do this. So yeah, not a lot of support at all.
So, okay, something really powerful happened, I know, before we even got on our first call. So why don't you tell everyone about that?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm like, what? There's so many things that happen. I'm like, so I'm like, I don't even know what in particular are you talking about.
So I know that before when we first talked, you mentioned like you didn't know exactly what kind of business you wanted to start. And
Yes,
then I
yes.
remember when we got on our first call for the program, you're like, you know what? All of this stuff came together for me.
Yes. Yes. So basically, at first, people had been like kind of hiring me to do social media. And so I was like, okay, that's obviously what people want. That's what I have to start a business around. But that's not what I ever felt like good. It never set well with me, but I thought that's just kind of what I was supposed to start with. And then, we hopped on a call, and I'll never forget, you were like, I was telling you all the things I loved. I was like, I love like topography. I love, like just logo design. I love all these aspects. And you were like, I think that you're meant for something more than just, social media management or logo design, and you could do branding. And after that first call, I was like, wow, like someone else thinks I can do that. And if I've convinced them, like surely I can convince other people. Yeah, and that's when things just automatically got so clear for me. And I mean, we were just doing a research call, and we just kind of dug deep in that first call, even like, what was holding me back and what was I so scared of. And a lot of it was just not knowing what to do, because I have always been such a multi-passionate person. And so I didn't know which route to take. So yeah, that clarity was like huge in the first call. So
Yeah. And I know that like someone listening might be thinking, well, I already know what I want to do. I just can't find the time to do it because time is so huge. But that's why I really wanted to talk to you and have everyone hear your words about how you were working a full-time job, you moved to a different state, and let's just talk about some of the things that you've been able to do in about 2 months.
yes.
Yeah.
So first of all, I am a firm believer now that like it will never be the right time, because life is happening always to everybody, and I mean, if you look back at my last year, there was never a time where I was like, okay, I have, some extra money. I should start a business right now. This is the perfect time. Like none of that has happened. I've never felt like, like very comfortable in my timing, but I realized that that's how it's always going to be. And at the end of the day, it's an excuse, I think. And of course, people are busy. I mean, I was busy working a full-time job, and, I adopted a dog that took up a lot of time. And then I decided that I was going to move to North Carolina. And I mean, I was sitting here with unpacked boxes all around me, and I needed to do those things and take care of that. And I needed to set up my internet. Like there were so many things with moving and going, driving 8.5 hours away to look at apartments every weekend. And, those were the weekends that I had time off to work, but I'd be sitting there, working on Google Docs on my phone, because I just think that at the end of the day, you have to make it happen for yourself. And time, you can make the time basically. And if that's sitting, writing your content for your website in a car ride, or, like trying to unpack, but unpacking 5 things and then working on your own stuff for an hour, whatever that looks like. Yeah, I mean, I had absolutely no time. I could have not chosen a busier time actually, but I just knew that I had to do it, And so I just focus on doing like one thing a day, and it's added up tremendously.
And I know it's a little hard to really, brag about ourselves. We don't want to feel like we're bragging about ourselves. But you've had some pretty massive accomplishments. So you already mentioned getting clear on your business, and you mentioned negotiating a telecommuting contract, which gave you, a little bit of anxiety.
Yes.
Bosses like that. But let's talk about some of the other results, because you have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah. So just in a few months, of course, those 2 things, which are 2 major things, the fact that, I was the first employee to be able to really leave the state and go 8.5 hours away at a job I had just started 6 months ago was huge. But definitely just getting clients even. And of course, at the end of the day, everyone wants some income. And I hadn't made more than just like a couple $100 here and there. And then I booked my first full branding client, and then I got like 2 website clients, and I've had, just so many like inquiries and people who go to my website, and after working on the language together with you and realizing, to make it all about them and not myself, when people see my site now and after doing the market research that I hated so much, everyone goes to my site and they do say, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad I found you. You're exactly who I'm looking for. And I'm always like, me? But that is such an accomplishment because they never did that before. At first, it was kind of just about me and the things I had done, and no one stayed on the site. And just my website views have increased by like 1,000%, and just the time on the page is like 6 minutes, which is crazy. I mean, there's so many accomplishments, big and small, like so many. And I mean, I had not even been clear on my own brand, and I figured all of that out along the way too. So
yeah. And you actually in this month now are making more than in your day job.
yes, which is crazy. I mean, I'm already in this month alone. I mean, some things are still pending and stuff like payment wise, but once I get fully paid, I'll make like what I make in 3 months in my daytime job, which is hilarious because I never thought that I'd be able to supplement my income and be making more. So yeah, that's incredible.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And so what do you see for yourself going forward now?
Oh my goodness. So definitely getting a little more, getting just my ducks in a row, of course, with everything in life. And I want to, within the next 3 months, hopefully be working for myself full time, which is like, my number one dream. And everyone even keeps saying like, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trust me, like I have so many, just like little things strategically coming together. So definitely just having enough savings and just going into this and taking that I've already taken so many leaps that I feel like that's like the end one, like never working for anyone again, never updating my resume again. I'm so excited, but yeah, I think that's actually very close in the future, which I thought it was years away. I thought, oh, maybe in like 3 years or maybe in, 5 years I can do that, but it's looking like 3 months. So.
And then what after that? Tell us about some of your long range goals, and then how do you feel about those?
After I do that and get very comfortable with that, I would love to, one, of course, like hire some help and then hopefully just start like building a team and then get an actual like brick and mortar location and have just this like wonderful, creative team with just these different skills and be able to go to work every day and create this just culture for employees and have them like love going to work, because I hate that so many people spend their lives like dreading waking up in the morning and heading to their job. And I want to create something that everyone, including myself, is so excited to be a part of every day. And then, yeah, I mean, I just want to kind of like have that laid out within a few years, hopefully. And which is so crazy to say, but yeah, that's like my number one goal for sure.
And it sounds like you're feeling pretty confident that that's possible, so that's wonderful.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, it's so funny because I remember on our very first call, you asked me where I'd be in 3 years. I was like, I don't know. I'm so worried. Like, I was like, I'm probably going to be like poor and starving and not knowing what I'm doing. And you're like, okay, no, let's take it one day at a time. And now a few months later with just this clarity, I'm like, no, of course I'm going to have my own, business. Of course I'm going to have 20 employees. Of course I'm going to have, just this like wonderful work culture. Like, I just know that it's going to happen. So.
And I can imagine a lot of people saying, oh, I don't know if I should really hire a coach. I mean, do I really need that, or would it really help me? So what would you say to them?
Honestly, I think everyone, justifies expenses, especially when they're on themselves, and they say they don't need it. You don't need it. But then at the end of the day, unless you are just this like wonderful human being who can always hold yourself accountable, which I and most people I know are very, very much not. It's someone that makes you get it done. It's someone that cares. It's someone that supports you. It's someone that you can, go to and send your website to and talk to and get feedback on. And instead of spending hours and hours, you know, trying to like read this content in these blogs telling you the first step to take. And so many of those are focusing on the shiny things instead of the strategy and things that you wouldn't do by yourself, because I didn't want to do market research. I don't like market research calls. I would have never made myself do that. I would have said, you know what, like I can do this later. I can have someone else do this for me later. But just having someone tell you exactly what you need to do and exactly what way to do it in, and, you know, what to do first, and believe in you. Like, I mean, I think everyone needs a coach, and I don't even know, even if you're not starting your own business, just whatever you're trying to achieve, having someone be able to say like, hey, this is how you do it. I would have quit my job. I would have never asked to work, you know, remotely, never, because I was very like scared, and I felt like I was like overstepping my boundaries. I was very worried. And then I remember you helped me just write the email, and they replied in like 20 minutes. We're like, yeah, for sure. I was like, what? So yeah, I mean, definitely within any investment I've ever made, this has been the most valuable, because I'm seeing actual money. It's already paid itself off, like, you know, times way more. Yeah. And I mean, none of this was happening for me. Nothing, there's no momentum in my, you know, me chasing my dreams or pursuing my passion. It was always in the back of my mind, and I do small things like update my website and be like, okay, I did something. But I was doing all of the wrong things, and I would have continued to waste so many years, maybe getting a client or two and just, you know, knowing that it was possible, but I just didn't know how to make it happen. So, and at the end of the day, it goes back to like the time, like you might not have time now, but you're going to be wasting years and years trying to get yourself to do it. And, you know, taking those courses and reading all these blogs and Entrepreneur Magazine, when you could just have someone who has all this knowledge be like, this is what you need to do. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that and for letting people know that it's possible. And yeah, I just wish that everybody could know how possible it is for them. But there may be people that are really intrigued by what you're doing, and maybe have resonated with how you talk. So where can they find you online?
Yeah, so my website is Karima. It's Karima creative.com. All my links to social media are on there, and that's my handle for all of them as well. So
great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.